Hi everyone, I'm Tracy and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to explain to you how certain makeup brushes can actually help you save money. Now I'm not necessarily saying like go out to buy these for the purpose of saving money. I just wanted to explain how these brushes can really help you save product and cut down on the amount of products that you have to buy. And these are things that I've known for a long time, mainly from years ago when I couldn't afford to have an array of different foundations. I usually just had one, maybe two. I would go through that and repurchase it. And for a long time I used a sponge, and I do like the finish that a sponge gives for your foundation, but it just, a sponge is meant to soak up product. It's meant to hold on to moisture, which also holds on to bacteria and fungus. So another thing is that I feel like brushes are easier to clean. They're more sanitary than a sponge, and it saves you a lot of product. Now, I'm not talking about just any kind of brush. So I'm going to go into the foundation brushes that I recommend if you are trying to save product. And that is a like a weasel type brush, weasel hair foundation brush. And my current favorite of that type of brush is this eyeshadow LQ3. So these type of hairs are very coarse, so they're not going to absorb as much product. So when it comes to like a liquid or cream, the finer the hairs are, the more it's going to hold on to product and to draw that product into the brush. So a brush like this is just not going to absorb that much. Now I know this for a fact. I know that this brush, as well as the Yuki Takashima, which is a bigger version, I know for a fact that these don't soak up as much foundation, because when I do my foundation as well as concealer, I put it on a palette like this. I usually, mainly because I mix the products, like I'll mix like a lighter foundation with a thicker one, or a lighter and darker shade, so I can get the right mix. And I notice when I use a brush like this, I tend to have leftovers. Now, I would say a sponge does absorb the most. I feel like I was going through the most foundation when I was using a sponge. But these other types of foundation brushes, for example, like the T3, it's a pretty bigger, it's a pretty big brush. A brush like this is going to absorb more product, and it's going to be a little bit harder to get that product out because of the density, and you got to really get in there to get the foundation out. A brush like this is very easy to clean. I wash these all the time. It takes a fraction of the time to dry, and that's why I've been really liking this type of brush for foundation. And the same goes for concealer. So I've been really into these weasel hair brushes. I have these two. I would say these two are probably the least likely to soak up your concealer. And with concealer, I do the same thing. I put a little bit here, and I'll dip my brush right here, and I know I use a lot less product than if you were to go in, pull up a bunch and then put it on your face. You're just going to use more product, and you're not going to have as much control over where that concealer goes. And I'm especially not a fan of using a sponge for concealer, because again, you're going to soak up a lot of product, and you're kind of like pressing your skin, and especially this area, your skin is so delicate, and you're like kind of, I feel like, increasing the chances of creasing. I just realized that's like the same word, but I just really like using a brush like this. Now I have other concealer brushes that I recommend, but those tend to absorb more product, so I don't know if you're going to really be saving a whole lot with, for example, the Sonia G Fusion brushes. Those are going to absorb more. I have a bunch of other ones, but I've been really enjoying these. This is the Chikuhodo Artist 12-2. This is the biggest, and this one will absorb a little bit more, but this one is held up really well. It's a little softer, and it'll cover a bigger area. So if I'm like a little bit more in a rush, I'll do my concealer with this one. But these, they just take a tiny bit of concealer to get coverage if you're using a brush like this, and it's not going to absorb much product. Also, these are very easy to clean. Same with these, they're They're just easy to clean because you don't have as much product to remove. Okay, and then another type of brush that I feel like saves product. It doesn't so much apply to me now because I have a pretty big collection of eyeshadows and eyeshadow palettes, but I have noticed using a brush, for example, this Corredo KK003 is made of gray squirrel hair. A brush like this is just going to pick up, it's going to pick up a smaller amount, and because the hairs are so soft and flexible, it's not going to really disrupt the pan. So someone else that might appreciate this is someone that has, like, for example, this nice Dior palette, doesn't want to get rid of the embossing right away. A brush like this is going to kind of preserve that. Like, this is my Rephr palette, my first Dior palette, eyeshadow palette that I got, and I use this all the time. And you can still see pretty much all of the embossing because I usually use, I feel like with this palette, I'm using a brush like this. I tend to, with this palette, I tend to use these 3 light colors, and I'll use that to like start out my look. It's kind of what I've been reaching for this for, more so than the darker colors. But yeah, I mean, I can still see the embossing. I've used this quite a lot. And if you're going to use like a stiffer, like a synthetic brush or a goat hair brush, you are going to have a tendency to produce like kick up, and you're just going to wear it down a little bit faster. But I know like there's this big like thing of like hitting pan and like using up your eyeshadows. I don't feel that way. I like preserving my eyeshadows, probably from days when I didn't have that many eyeshadow palettes. But yeah, I still have that. It's like ingrained in my head. Like, don't waste your eyeshadow. Don't waste anything. And it's just, I can't help it. I just don't like wasting my makeup. Just, oh, this kind of, yeah, this is a very brief suggestion, but this is something I used to do a long time ago, and I've been using a lip brush for as long as I've been doing makeup. I feel like I've always had a lip brush, and it's not something I really invest in. The first nice lip brush I ever got was this Coyuto, and I only got it maybe in the last year. But when you use a lip brush for your lipstick, for your tube lipsticks, you just don't use that much. And it's just, you know, physics. When you put lipstick directly on, you're gonna use up a lot more. But I do like using a lip brush for lipstick, especially a tube lipstick, because you just need the littlest amount, and you could be like really specific. You could blend out the liner. You could kind of line with lipstick, which is what I used to do for a long time when I was too cheap to buy a liner. But I really like having a lip brush. I don't carry it around with me. Lip brushes are very easy to use, so you don't need to see me do this. I know a lot of people don't use lip brushes. I've always loved them. So I already had lipstick on, so I don't know if you're really going to see that. But, if you are really looking to cut back and you're not looking to go through your lipstick, maybe you just use 1 or 2 at a time like I used to, and that way you do go through your lipstick pretty quick. You will probably save a lot of product using a lip brush. Okay, so the last one, and this is the most exciting, I guess, tip that I have, and I've been mentioning it over and over again. So for those of you who have been following me for a while, I apologize for being redundant, but I don't use eyeliner, like pencils or gel. I know I have some, and once in a while I will use it, but it's my belief that using, especially like a long-lasting eyeliner or a gel liner, leads to more eye infections. And I used to get those all the time when I used to use eyeliners regularly, and especially if you use it in the waterline. That product is going to go into your eye, and it will collect like underneath, this part, or under your top lid, and it'll lead to an infection. I used to get those pretty regularly. Like, it'll get like puffy here, and I'll look under, and there's like a little sore under there, and they're awful. They're uncomfortable, and then you have to like throw your makeup away. And So I'm a big believer in using a liner brush with eyeshadow instead of eyeliners because, first of all, I do feel like it's more sanitary because, oh, and also if you're using a liner brush like this, I would highly recommend washing them a lot. Like just anytime you're doing a wash, or I don't know, I wash these a lot and they're very easy to wash because they're small and you want to keep these super clean. Another, I guess the way that these save money is you don't have to buy eyeliner. You can pretty much turn any kind of eyeshadow into your liner. And I love that about using a liner brush. And I recommend having like two, you know, so you can rotate. This is one of my favorites. It's the Mizuho MB133. It's angled, so I use it mainly for the lower lash line. And it looks just like I use a gel liner because it's so thin, it's so specific. It's really good. And so I do this, and then I tend to use this rounded one, and I have a number of them. This is my favorite of the rounder liner brushes. It's the Mizuho MB130. I'll link these all below. I think it's the 130. If not, I'll correct me myself down below. But I use this for the top lash line. So like if you have eyes like mine, you don't have like a lot of lid space. You know, if you put a big thick line of eyeliner, you're gonna close up your eye. You know, it's not gonna allow your shadow to stand out, and on top of that, you're putting something that's a very long lasting formula on your eye. And I know like most of us will remove our makeup every night, but it doesn't all come off. I mean, you could try to get it all off, and I suggest you do that, but let's face it, we don't always have the time to get every little bit of eye makeup off, and especially with the new long-lasting formulas, they stay on a long time. So I highly recommend this. This is something, if you use liner, I'm not saying like get rid of your liners, but I would definitely give this a try. And you can use these for gel liners too, or you can use it on a pencil, like I've done that before. But in general, I use these with eyeshadows, and I've not looked back. I don't remember the last time I bought an eyeliner. I always tell myself I'm going to buy a gel liner, but I just don't. At the cleanliness of using a pencil eyeliner, if you really want to keep it clean, you would have to sharpen it or disinfect it regularly. And I'm probably not going to do that. I don't think I did. I just sharpened it when it needed to be sharpened. So I feel like with this, you can, you know, wash this, keep it clean a lot easier without like going through the liner so quickly. And I just love the flexibility of being able to turn any eyeshadow into a liner. And that's what you can do. That's the power of having a good liner brush. And these are two of my favorite brushes for eyes, and also probably my two least expensive nice brushes that I have. So to me, this is a no-brainer. And I love that I've discovered that, and I don't see myself going back. So yeah, this is the most exciting, I think, like tip that I have as far as, you know, if you're trying to cut back, you're not trying to buy as much product, and yeah, it's just like a win-win. Saves money, your makeup looks better, and it's just more fun to do your makeup with this. So that's gonna do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have a few updates coming up in my future videos. I have a number of new brush lines coming from different brands. Probably the first one I'll get is the Synergy Fusion eye set. That should be here like even possibly today or tomorrow. So I'll be getting a video up as soon as possible. And with the other ones, I don't know when I'm going to get them. Hopefully soon. Definitely going to be getting the new Synergy brushes and the new Rephr brushes that they're releasing shortly. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.